An Emirates flight crashes into the sea after landing, killing 2 airport staff. Aviation experts says the plane landed at normal speed and needs detailed examination to see what went wrong. And human error likely a factor in the government bottled water saga. Hello and welcome to TVB News. I'm Melissa Hekalea. An Emirates cargo plane that arrived in the city during the early hours of today suddenly swerved off the runway after landing and rammed into a security patrol vehicle. The latter subsequently fell into the sea and the 2 men aboard the vehicle later pronounced dead. The 4-member crew of the damaged flight were rescued and sent to hospital for further treatment. This, as the Civil Aviation Department said, weather conditions were good at the time of the incident, adding that the flight did not seek assistance from local aviation authorities. Timothy Lee has the story.
Footage captured this morning showed the severely damaged Emirates aircraft lying in the sea, with its tail ripped off and one of its wings lying under breakwater. Marine police and fire services personnel were deployed to nearby waters on standby. The affected flight EK9788 made its way to Hong Kong from Dubai, landing on the north runway at around 4 a.m. The aircraft landed but suddenly swerved to its left and exited the runway, damaging a fence in the process. A patrol vehicle circling outside the perimeter of the runway was pushed to the sea from the plane's impact, which led to the deaths of 2 men aged 41 and 30 aboard the vehicle. Photos provided by the airport authority show the extent of damage at the front of the cargo plane, while authorities stress the aircraft's 4 crew members have all been successfully rescued. This, as Civil Aviation Department Technical and Development Chief Wesley Young said his department did not receive any call for help from the cargo plane crew at the time of the incident. He added that aviation authorities tried contacting the pilot but received no response. The Civil Aviation Department noted it will further investigate the cause of the crash after retrieving the aircraft's black box. At least 5 inbound and 1 outbound flights were delayed by 5 to 15 minutes as a result of the incident. The north runway was also closed off, with more than 1,000 flights having to use alternative runways. Meanwhile, 2 members of the cargo plane crew were brought away by police to assist with the investigation. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The 32-year-old Boeing 747-800 cargo plane operated by Emirates was leased to the Emirati airline by a Turkish company, with Emirates stating that it will cooperate with the investigation work. Some commercial pilots said the affected aircraft was taxiing at a normal speed of 80 kilometers per hour at the time of the incident, making it difficult to determine the cause of the accident. Representatives from the local flight sector noted the flight arrived in the city during the early hours of the day, pointing out the necessity of fatigue management and its effect on aircraft control. According to the Civil Aviation Ordinance, causing unnecessary danger while piloting an aircraft could result in a fine of $100,000 and less than half a year of imprisonment. An independent probe into the bottled water saga found human error may have been a factor in the matter. Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury, Christopher Hui, said at least 10 officials will be subject to a disciplinary investigation, which is expected to be finished by the end of this year. Samantha Lee tells us more.
Back in August, Xindingxin Trade Company was suspected of defrauding the government on the source of its bottled drinking water. This after being awarded a $52.9 million contract to supply water for office use on Hong Kong Island and some outlying islands. As the fiasco exposed loopholes in the government's procurement process, it was handed over to the Audit Commission for an independent examination. In its review, the watchdog pointed out that human error may have been a factor in the matter. Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury, Christopher Hui, announced a disciplinary investigation into more than 10 officials involved.
We very much currently rely on submissions or documents being presented to us. But in this fast-changing world, in the light of the fact that fraud can take different forms, I think we need to take a more proactive approach in terms of enhancing our due diligence capabilities. We have already issued guidelines to make sure that our colleagues on the procurement side will adhere to the due diligence work, including not just about paper exercise, but also checking of information online. And also at the same time, if there's a need, they could do on-site inspection to really look into the information being available to them to see if they are genuine or not.
As to whether the former director of the Government Logistics Department, Carson Chen, is also subject to the disciplinary investigations, he said the inspections will cover all the officials who took part in the case, regardless if they have retired. Meanwhile, 6 measures have been introduced to plug procurement loopholes. They include promulgating internal guidelines which set out specific requirements on conducting due diligence checks, such as preparation of tender documents, tender evaluation, and contract management. The GLD has also revised the standard terms and conditions of tenders and contracts to empower the authorities to terminate contracts immediately if contractors are found to have provided false information. An internal database is also established to share information on contractors' tendering and contract performances in a bid to help officers to identify high-risk tenderers. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
The observatory issued the strong wind signal number 3 at 5:20 this afternoon as tropical cyclone Fengshen edges ever closer to the Guangdong coastline. Fengshen is currently located south of Prostate Island in the South China Sea and is expected to move westward at a speed of 18 kilometers per hour, gradually reaching Guangdong province. Weather authorities say the combined effect of Fengshen and the monsoon will bring heavy rain and strong gusts throughout the next 2 to 3 days to the southern Chinese coastline, adding that the temperature will drop noticeably. Donald Trump says he is not looking to destroy China, but the U.S. president said it can't be a one-way street as he defended his tariff and trade war. Trump threatened Beijing with an additional 100% tariff hike last week after blaming China for a dispute over export restrictions on rare earth minerals. David Garrett reports.
Donald Trump back to Washington for the working week and getting straight down to business. The US president appearing to lower the temperature on Beijing after threatening further tariffs, possibly of another 100% last week. Trump hopes to meet Xi Jinping at the APEC summit in South Korea next month. The two have not met since Trump returned to the Oval Office.
Now they're paying an unbelievable amount of money to the United States. They probably can't pay that much. And I'm okay with that. We can lower that, but they have to do things for us too. It's no longer a one-way street. Yeah. One of the penalties we have, and because they're sending in fentanyl, we have a 20%, as you know, a 20% tariff on that. But they'd be paying about 157% tariff, which is, record-setting type tariff. I don't want them to do that. I want to help China. I'm not looking to hurt China, but they have to give us things too.
City with China, Mr. President, on soybeans. Are you confident that you'll be able to get it?
I want them to buy soybeans. One of the things I want is China's going to buy soybeans. I want China to stop with the fentanyl. Very, normal things. I don't want them to play the rare earth game with us.
But you want them to, but do you think they will make a deal on soybeans?
I do believe, yeah, because otherwise I'm not going to make a deal. No, I want them to buy. Our farmers have been boycotted by China as a negotiating point. I don't want that. Our farmers are great, and in particular our soybean farmers, and I want them to start buying soybeans at least in the amount that they were buying before.
In Beijing, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs responded cautiously, reiterating China's stance, which they say has been clear from the outset.
关税战、贸易战。
A trade war does not serve the purpose of either side. Both should negotiate on the basis of equality and respect to resolve the relevant issues. David Garrett, TVB News.
Gaza's fragile ceasefire faced its first major test as Israeli forces launched a wave of deadly strikes on Sunday, saying it was responding to the killing of 2 soldiers by Hamas. The military later said it resumed enforcing the ceasefire, and an official confirmed that aid deliveries would resume Monday. Meanwhile, the search for deceased hostages continues as Hamas tries to fulfill its part of the ceasefire deal. Nazvi Karim has more.
An injured young girl is carried into the Nasser hospital in Khan Yunis. A man is brought in on the tarp used as a makeshift stretcher. More children seeking treatment. Familiar scenes inside Gaza despite an October 10th ceasefire after an Israeli strike killed 26 Palestinians. The price paid for 2 Israeli soldiers killed, with Israel blaming Hamas and the Palestinian group saying they know nothing about it. Israel said it is returning to the ceasefire after its attacks, with aid trucks set to resume over the Rafah crossing on Monday. US President Donald Trump, speaking on Air Force One, says rebels within Hamas may have been responsible.
Well, we're going to have to see what's happening. We want to make sure that it's going to be very peaceful with Hamas. And as you know, they've been quite rambunctious. They've been doing some shooting, and we think maybe the leadership isn't involved in that, some rebels within. But either way, it's going to be handled properly. It's going to be handled toughly, but properly.
The Israeli strikes highlight the fragility of the ceasefire, which also hangs on Hamas returning the bodies of 16 remaining deceased hostages. Cranes and bulldozers in southern Gaza dig up trenches looking for signs of the bodies. Hamas says they need heavier equipment to search under the tons of rubble, but say Israel has refused the request. Many of the hostages reportedly killed during Israeli airstrikes, and the location of the bodies are unknown. So far, 12 of the 28 deceased hostages have been returned as part of the ceasefire deal. In Mevasaret, Zion, a celebration was held for released hostage Elkanah Bobat's return home. The 36-year-old appeared on the balcony weeping and hugging loved ones as a crowd of supporters applauded. They had gathered for hours ahead of his return. Bobat was kidnapped from the Nova Music Festival. In the past year, Hamas had released multiple videos of him, including one where he has a mock telephone conversation with his wife, son, mother and brother, pleading with them to help him get home. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
Still ahead, Trump denies telling Ukraine to give up Donbass land for peace. And a better way to treat prostate cancer. Welcome back. U.S. President Donald Trump reportedly pushed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to give up swathes of territory to Russia during a tense meeting on Friday that left the Ukrainian delegation disappointed, according to 2 sources briefed on the discussion. But Trump is now saying he never asked Zelensky to give up land. This as Ukrainian drones struck a major gas processing plant in southern Russia, sparking a fire and forcing it to suspend its intake of gas from Kazakhstan. Tracy Furness reports.
Ukrainian drones hit the Orenburg plant run by state-owned gas giant Gazprom, causing a large-scale fire. Located near the Kazakh border, it's part of a production and processing complex that is one of the world's largest, its annual capacity reaching 45 billion cubic meters. According to regional governor Yevgeny Solstev, the drone strikes set fire to a workshop at the plant. This as Ukrainian officials claim Moscow is modifying its deadly aerial-guided bombs to strike civilians deeper in Ukraine, saying Russia struck a residential neighborhood using a new rocket-powered aerial bomb for the first time. Meanwhile, during discussions between Trump and Zelensky at the White House Friday, sources say Trump urged the Ukrainian leader to give up some of its land in the Donbass region to Russia. But when asked about this by reporters, Trump seemed to backtrack.
You had a cordial meeting with President Zelensky. During that meeting, did you tell him he needed to cede all of the Donbass region to Russia?
No, we never discussed it. We think that what they should do is just stop at the lines where they are, the battle lines. You have a battle line right now. The rest is very tough to negotiate. If you're going to say, you take this, we take that, there's so many different permutations. So what I say is they should stop right now at the battle lines. Go home, stop killing people, and be done.
Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Amazon said its cloud computing services unit, AWS, was hit by an outage today, disrupting popular websites and apps worldwide. Sites and apps affected included Snapchat and Facebook, with cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase and AI firm Perplexity also reporting disruptions. AWS said it had identified a root cause and was working to accelerate recovery. AWS has a market share of 30% of the global cloud infrastructure market, according to an HG Insights report. The 20th Central Committee of the Communist Party of China started its fourth plenary session in Beijing on Monday. General Secretary of the Central Committee, Xi Jinping, and other Communist Party elites gather to map the goals of the next 5 years. The closed-door gathering is expected to last 4 days and will discuss and put the final touches on China's next 5-year plan, a blueprint for 2026 to 2030. Long-standing efforts to boost consumer spending and investment by businesses and to curb excess capacity in many industries are expected to top the list of economic priorities. But China's push to become the global leader in many technologies may also be highlighted. Prostate cancer is the fourth leading cancer killer affecting men in Hong Kong. Chinese University School of Medicine introduced focal therapy in 2019, revealing a recurrence rate of around 30%. Samantha Lee reports.
New technologies and treatment methods are expanding prostate cancer sufferers' options. While surgery and radiation therapy focus on the entire prostate, focal therapy targets the part of the gland with cancerous cells, while sparing the rest. Mr. Leung recovered from prostate cancer after undergoing focal therapy in 2019. He said he did not experience urinary issues except for the first couple of days after the operation. The 3 focal therapy modalities include high-intensity focused ultrasound, cryotherapy, and targeted microwave ablation.
While we have different energy for those prostate cancer, it doesn't mean we can use it for every cancer patient. We need to be very selective in choosing the best patient for the best outcome.
Doctors noted that focal therapy often has fewer debilitating side effects than traditional surgery, but cautioned that it isn't right for everyone. They also said prostate cancer that is detected early has the best chance for successful treatment. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Pearl Magazine is up shortly. See you then.